episode, what we're gonna do is a compression test. And as we do the compression test, we're gonna also replace the spark plugs with iridium NGK spark plugs. And we can see what condition those spark plugs are. So I've been watching a lot of YouTube videos, and I came across this channel called the Car Passion channel. And this YouTuber named Greg, he has two Miatas. He has a 91 and a 92, where he basically slaps turbos on these guys, does compression test. And I watched the video in particular on first getting your Miata and what things to replace. So the first thing that he said was to check the compression and change out the spark plug. So that's what we're gonna do today. Before I remove the spark plug cables, I'm gonna take a picture just in case I forget how they go. But you should, the distance of the plugs, you should figure it out, but just in case. Alright guys, so we got all four spark plugs off, and on the first, I don't know what's the name of the cylinders, but the first cylinder and the back cylinder, when I pulled the spark plug, it was full of oil, and that scared me because I'm like, dude, is there oil leaking in the cylinders? But it turned out that it was just in the thread, and actually the inside is clean, as you can see. There's only oil on the inside that's burning, so what that means, it's most likely going to be the valve cover little donuts. There's a little donut that goes right in here with the valve cover gasket. So we're probably gonna have to order that, but it doesn't stop us from doing a compression test. All right guys, here's the compression tester that we got from AutoZone. It was about $40 to rent, but once you return it in one piece, you get your $40 back, so it's a free rental. So it's basically a gauge, and then you put this thread on here, and that will screw right into the spark plug where the spark plug used to go. And you want all the spark plugs out as you do the compression test. And we're gonna get two numbers. We're gonna do the first crank, is gonna give us a number, and that number we're gonna write it down, and then we're gonna crank it about 7 times, and then from there we're gonna go. And this is I learned this on the YouTube channel, so go follow the Car Passion channel. So stay tuned. All right, so we're almost ready to do the compression test. We're gonna take off this fuse right here, which is the fuel pump relay, and then this is the igniter chip. Disconnect the igniter chip, and disconnect this guy. I don't know what this is called, so that should be it, and we should be good. Alright, so we did the compression test, and here's what we got. On the first, I'm gonna assume that this is cylinder 1, 2, 3, and 4, which is probably not. I would have to know. I know this is cylinder 1 for sure. So from going from the first one, on one crank it hit a 30 psi, and then we cranked into it maxed out at 180. For cylinder 2, on one crank it hit 30, and we maxed it out and it hit 171. On the third cylinder, it hit 30 on one crank, and we maxed it out at 171 as well. And on cylinder 4, they threw a curveball on us because oil fell into the cylinder as we removed the spark plug. So by that happening, the compression ratio is going to go up. So that one hit on one crank, it hit a 30, and we maxed it out at 194. So I'm assuming it's about 10 psi too high. So I'm gonna call that one as a 180. And once I change the grommets and all that, and that oil burns, I'm gonna do the test again so we're on the safe side. Now we've done that, the good thing is at least we're not like in the 80s or 100s, which I was scared of. Which I was pretty confident because the car does pull. Now we're gonna go with some NGK iridiums. These are probably like the best spark plugs that you can buy at AutoZone. And the only reason I'm actually buying these is because my Evo 10 came factory with these. And if it's good for Evo, it's good for Miata, I'm assuming. So we'll go ahead and install these. We checked online what the gap is for the NGK iridiums and the Mazda Miata 1.6. And the forums gave us mixed answers, but basically from 39 to 44 you should be okay. It seems like the out of the box they're at 42, which is almost in the middle. I think we're just gonna leave it there. If they all, we're just gonna gap them all at 42. The first one I checked out came out to 42, so that's what we're gonna do. Alright guys, so we're gonna put the spark plug. You wanna get this socket that has a little rubber bushing on there so it sticks to it when you put it in. So a good tip as you put it in spark plugs so you don't cross thread them, what I do is I go in here, I learned this at Midas actually. You spin it backwards and you put a little bit of weight in it and you'll feel it like pop. And when it pops, that means that the thread found itself and then go back the other way. You'll feel it. If you go backwards, there, pop, and then you go the other way. Now we're going to start the engine, make sure it starts fine. So it seems to be running fine. So that concludes this episode. So for the next episode, we're going to change upper and lower radiator hose. We're gonna flush the system, add new coolant, and I bought this other like thing that helps it cool down like 20 degrees. And we're also gonna replace the thermostat with the gasket. So stay tuned, guys.
In 8th grade, 13, 14 years old, my dad and I took a trip to Sacramento. At the time, I was living in a small town called Winters. We were on the freeway. We saw this black car, black wheels. It smelled gas fumes. I asked my dad, I said, what car is that? And my dad was like, let's go find out. So we decided to speed up, and we seen the car, and my dad was like, I was kind of like astonished. He was like, it's a Mazda. It's called the RX-7.